Hey, what's going on? My name is Michael. You guys are watching IDB, and in this video, I'm showing you some hidden features on the iPhone 16 Pro. Let's go ahead, roll the intro, and jump right in. So the first feature I want to cover with the iPhone 16 Pro is the camera control. More specifically is we have a bunch of settings that we can change that can really customize this new button. So the basic functionality of the camera control is one, you can click it and it opens the camera. And when you're in the camera, you can click it again to take a photo. That's the basic functionality. Apple is also advertising you're able to do a double press, not a click, and go into this menu, and you can change to different camera modes. So exposure, depth, zoom, and some other modes right here. But I wanna show you a few other things that you can change with this camera control button. So we're gonna go into settings, then scroll down and click on camera. And you'll see here we have a new option at the top that says camera control. The first thing that I'd recommend turning off is clean preview. So when you double half press on the camera control, you can see everything else in the camera UI disappears. And in my opinion, it doesn't look that good. So if you agree with me, go ahead and turn off clean preview. That way, whenever you are using the camera control, you can still see everything else in your camera app. And then another setting, which I'm really glad is here, is you're able to change it from a single click to a double click. I know a lot of people that hold their phone in portrait mode like this, and sometimes the cushiony part of your hand is pressing into the button and you're launching the camera when you don't want to. So you can change this from a single click to a double click. Now, as you can see, to open the camera, I have to press it twice just like that. However, for me, I like the simplicity of a single click, so I'm gonna leave it right here. And then the final thing I want to cover is you're actually able to launch any other camera related application if it is supported. So for example, I don't know why Snapchat isn't on here because it's a camera app, but you can see we can change it to a code scanner. We can have Instagram. We can also have the magnifier. And then if you just want to use the button as a fidget button, you can select none and the button is going to do absolutely nothing. But I do really love that Apple is giving us the option to choose. So you can change this to Instagram, and then with one press, you have a dedicated Instagram capture button. But everything I just showed you is just scratching the surface. Apple has a bunch of other hidden settings inside of the Settings app where you can change the camera control functionality as well. So you want to click on accessibility, then scroll down, and here you can click on camera control. So there are essentially two different menus in two different locations on your iPhone where you can change what the camera control does. The first thing I want to show you here, and probably most important, is the controls gesture. So you can choose between a light press and a swipe, or you can simply have them both on. The default iPhone behavior is light press on and swipe off, and I'll show you how this works. So here inside of the camera, a light double press is going to open up the controls menu, and you're able to swipe through everything in here with the camera control on the side of the phone. This is how Apple advertises this feature working. However, if you change this to a swipe instead of a light press, I don't think you're able to change the camera mode anymore. So you can see here I'm able to swipe now, but I'm only changing the mode that I was last in. So if I go back here and change it to a light press, I can do a double half press like this, and I can change it now to cameras. But now that I'm on cameras, if I go back and turn off this option, when I swipe my finger, you can see here that's the only option I get, and I'm no longer able to do a half double press because I turned off that feature. So if you want to have the camera control stuck on one feature, I would recommend having that on. I think this is going to make it a lot easier and just more simple for people to understand how this feature works. For me, I'm going to leave it on zoom. So I'll double press, then I'll go to zoom. I'll select it like that. And then if I turn this off, the only thing I can control with this button is zoom. I'm not able to change to any other feature using the camera control. And then obviously another option you have is simply turning them both on. So if you want to quickly access whatever feature you have last used, you can simply swipe on the control like this. And then if you want to go deeper and go into the menu, you can do a double half press and you can change everything just like this. And then if all of that wasn't confusing enough, we have some other options in here. So you can see we can choose the force. So this button is a force sensitive button. And when you're doing that double half press, you can actually change the firmness. So for me, I like it very firm. So I'm gonna choose firm like this because when I'm holding my iPhone in portrait mode, The meaty part of my hand right here that hits the button is sometimes setting off the camera control. So I want to have this as firm as possible to avoid any accidental triggers of that button. And then down here at the very bottom, we also have some other settings. So if you are not able to double press that fast, you can change this to slow or slower, which is going to give your iPhone more time and wait for you to do that double press. All right, so now that I have explained all of those camera control settings, it's pretty obvious that you can customize this button a lot more than you expected. There also are a few other things inside of the app that I want to show you. The first thing, which honestly I don't know why I was surprised about this feature, it's kind of obvious, is when you are in the camera control, you can actually just use it using your finger. So if you want to change exposure, you can click on it and then double press again. You can scroll like this and then click, and you can still use your finger on this camera control. It is a little bit awkward on the very edge of your phone, and especially me because I have a screen protector, but your iPhone is a touchscreen, and if you want to use the camera control on the edge with your thumb as a slider, you can definitely do that. All right, this next feature is for the camera, but I promise it has nothing to do with the camera control because we've been talking about that a lot. So inside of the camera app on your iPhone 16 Pro, you're gonna see that there is an all new option at the top right, and it looks sort of like a grid. When you click on this is gonna bring you into the new photographic styles for iPhone, and I'm gonna do my best to try to explain these. So you can change any of these photographic styles, and Apple is telling us that these are non-destructive to the photo. So you could take a photo in one of these filters, I guess they're called, and then you can end up changing the filter after you take the photo, and it's not gonna be destructive at all to the end photo that gets produced by your iPhone. So this is pretty darn cool. I would recommend just setting it as natural or the standard photo mode. And then if you want to add a filter to your photo, you can do it after the fact. Because it's going to be a little bit annoying if you pick a dramatic look like this one called Quiet. Every photo is not going to look good in this style, maybe only a few types of photos. So like I said, I'd recommend just keeping it in the standard mode and then changing your filter afterwards. However, one thing that I would definitely recommend changing on the iPhone is down here in this grid. So when you are in your standard mode, you can see here that we can still change the way the iPhone is going to behave when you take photos. So you're able to change the undertones. You can also change the color. So I like the colors of the iPhone camera. However, I usually think that it's always making everything so bright, which I really don't like on the iPhone. I kind of like the look of the other Google Pixel style photos. So what you can do on the iPhone is you can simply bring down the tone. So you can see here as I bring down the slider here, at the top of my iPhone, it's showing that I brought down the tone by 6.9 points. And this is gonna dramatically improve the look of iPhone photos, at least in my opinion, and it's gonna make them have that more dramatic and more shadowy look. So this is going to, at least in my opinion, improve the look of your photos a lot. So if I aim my camera at something like this plant, if I put it in the standard mode, you can see there just how everything is light. But when I bring it down, you can see just a little bit, it makes it a bit more dramatic, especially around the shadows. So once you have your style and your undertones and your color options all set up, you can click on the photographic styles icon once again in the top right to save it. And you can see that it is custom based on the location of that dot in the menu on the top right. The next feature I want to show you is for resolution. So inside of settings, click on camera, then click on formats, and make sure that ProRAW and resolution control are turned on. And the next thing you want to change is what's called the Pro default. So if you're someone who likes RAW photos, if you're a photographer, you can choose ProRAW in either 12 or 48 megapixels. But if you're just a basic iPhone user and you don't need to take advantage of everything that RAW files have to offer, I would simply recommend choosing HEIF Max, which is just gonna be a basic photo file, but in 48 megapixels. So it's gonna be a lot higher quality. And then once you have that resolution control turned on from inside of settings, you'll see an all new button at the top right corner of your iPhone, and it's gonna be whichever resolution you chose. So because I chose HEIF Max, you can see I can turn that on with one click, and now every time I snap a photo, that is going to be in 48 megapixels. Of course, you can tap it again to turn it off, and now your photos are going to be back to 24 megapixels. And you can also press and hold on this, and you can choose between any of those options that you saw in the settings. So you can choose a normal HEIF photo, you can have HEIF Max, you can have RAW 12 megapixels or RAW 48 megapixels. So it's really nice that now inside of the camera, we can actually choose the exact photo mode that we want without constantly going into settings. And then here, as you can see, looking at the metadata of the photo, that was a 48 megapixel shot. You can see the resolution is absolutely absurd, but because we were not shooting in RAW, that photo is only 1.4 megabytes, which is awesome. And then the next hidden feature for the iPhone 16 Pro is for the all-new ultra-wide camera. So we have an all-new 48 megapixel ultra-wide camera on this iPhone 16 Pro, and it still has autofocus. So this is going to make macro photos so much better. So inside of the camera, it's gonna work exactly the same. Go into your ultra-wide, and then here you're able to choose HEIF Max. And now I'm able to shoot 48 megapixel photos with the ultra-wide camera on my iPhone. So that means I can get very, very close to my plant right here in my studio. And then as you can see, you can get really, really nice macro shots. And all of these shots are going to be in a ultra high resolution 48 megapixels. So because I zoomed in just a little bit, you can see it is 47 megapixels, but that is a very high resolution for a macro photo, and all of your macro shots are gonna have a lot more detail now when you're shooting in this ultra high resolution mode. The next feature I wanna show you is for video. So the iPhone 16 Pro can now shoot 4K up to 120 frames per second, and I'll show you a few different options on how you can shoot that. So inside of the camera, if you switch over to video mode, on the top right corner, you'll see that this is whatever your default iPhone video resolution setting has been changed to. And I'll show you this in a little bit. But if you simply want to change this, all you have to do is press where it says the frame rate. And now I am shooting 4K at 120 frames per second. Keep in mind that these video files are going to be very, very large, so shoot these sparingly. But it is very nice now that you can get 4K 120 and you can get some really, really good looking slow motion footage on your iPhone. If you go inside of settings, then click on camera, you then want to click on record video, and you can see here that you can actually choose 4K 120 as the video default. So this is not hidden in any slow motion options. If you want, you can shoot 4K 120 frames per second all the time on your camera. But if you're gonna do that, I'd recommend getting a ultra high storage iPhone like a terabyte, because this is going to eat through your storage. And in fact, as you can see here, Apple is actually giving us the file sizes. So it's 80% of a gigabyte when you have a 1 minute video. So it's pretty much taking up a gig every time you shoot a minute of video when you're at 4K 120. And what's really cool about when you're shooting in this mode is you're able to slow it down after the fact. So if I do a really quick video here and just pan my iPhone around and then end it just like this, there is a new option when you're looking at the photo. So you can see here that this is the normal photo, but if I click on the edit button, I have the option to change the speed. If I click on this button up here, you can see I can change how fast the video is going to play. So if I choose 50% speed, it is still going to be at 60 frames per second. And these sliders down here are pretty much changing the slow motion options. So I'm just gonna turn it off. And then here, as you can see, this is now a half speed video, and it still looks very, very smooth because it is playing at 60 frames per second. So this is a really, really great feature. Not many smartphones have the option to record 4K 120, but your slow motion videos are going to look fantastic. And like I said, if you're someone who has a ultra high storage iPhone, you can shoot in this mode all the time, and it'll give you the option to slow down your video whenever you want. All right, the next thing I want to show you is something really cool, and this one might be my favorite feature of the entire video. So the iPhone 16 Pro has something that's really cool called microphone modes. And you're able to edit these microphone modes, I believe, only when you are filming in cinematic mode. You can see here that this is a cinematic mode video based on the tag up here, but I'm gonna just give you a real world first person view of what it looks like when you're editing this on your iPhone. So first of all, I'm gonna go into edit, and then you can see here at the bottom, there's an all new option that says audio mix. And if you click on this, you're able to choose 4 different microphone modes. So I'm just gonna play through the video and change through these as it's playing so you can get an experience of what this is like. So I'll start the video over, I'll go standard, and I'll turn up the volume.
So this is me testing out the all-new audio capabilities on the iPhone 16. If this is working correctly, I should be able to completely disable the noise which is playing directly below the iPhone, which is some pretty annoying airplane noise, and just isolate my voice. This is a pretty cool feature, and I think it's going to make content creation a lot better on these new iPhones.
So I'll try to do my best to explain what each of these options does. Let me just lower my screen brightness because it's blinding. So standard is simply going to be exactly what your iPhone hears, and it's going to be like every other video you filmed on your iPhone. In frame is simply going to isolate whichever audio is in frame. So I'm speaking, so it's going to be my voice. Studio is going to do an even better job of the in-frame option, and it's really going to improve the vocals and try to remove everything from the background. And then cinematic, this is kind of cool if you want to make movies on your iPhone. This is still going to allow the background sounds, but it's going to take your voice and amplify it, sort of like how voices sound in theaters. So this is a really, really cool option, and I'm just very impressed by how good it sounds on the iPhone. So if you are a content creator, I think that these new microphone modes are going to make video on the iPhone a game changer. Another feature I have to mention on the iPhone 16 Pro is we have an option here for spatial video and photo. So you have to rotate your iPhone to get this because it's going to use the depth information from these two cameras, which have to be oriented like this. So if you want to shoot in spatial, you have to be in landscape mode. But this is going to be good for, I don't know, the 12 people out there that own a Vision Pro and want to view their photos and videos on it. So if you spent a lot of money on a Vision Pro and you have the all-new iPhone, you can shoot in spatial, and it is going to give you immersive photos and videos. What's kind of cool is if you guys remember the really old iPhones, they had a toggle slider that was just like this. So I'm getting very nostalgic when I look at this. I'll try to toss up a photo or a screenshot so I can explain what I'm talking about. But the old iPhones had a switcher like this, and having this here is kind of nostalgic. So as you've been able to tell, pretty much the entire video has been about camera features, because essentially all iPhones these days are just cameras with the option to take phone calls. And I do have a few other little hidden features that are not about the camera, so if you want to hear those, you can stick around here. But the first one is the iPhone 16 and 16 Pro can now send messages over a satellite, which is really, really cool. And I'm not able to show you a demo of it per se because you have to be completely out of service with no cell towers nearby and obviously no Wi-Fi. But I can sort of show you what the demo experience is like. Inside of Control Center, if you go to your connectivity page, you'll see that there's an option at the bottom called Satellite. And when you click this and go into Try Demo, it's going to open up an all-new application called Connection Assistant. And when you're in here, you can actually try this. So if you click on Messages, you can click on Satellite Connection Demo. If you do this, it's going to turn off all connections on your iPhone, so I'll click on Turn Off. And I am inside, so I really don't know how well this is going to work. It's telling me to get a clear view of the sky, but obviously because I'm inside, it may not work. I will toss up a video on your screen right now of what it will look like when you are connected to a satellite. Oh, it looks like it found something. If I turn my iPhone around, oh, you can see it looks like there is a satellite somewhere over there. So here, I guess I don't have to show you a screenshot. My iPhone is managing to find some type of satellite from inside the house. But if you are in an emergency situation and you have to send a text message, this is definitely going to be a very helpful feature. Obviously, if you're inside, it's not going to work. And if you're under like heavy foliage, like a forest, it may not work the best. It does require a clear view of the sky. But what is really, really cool about this feature, and it has been blowing up on the internet, is the recent hurricane that went through Florida. This feature is saving so many lives because so many cell towers and networks were down. Everyone who had an iPhone 14 or newer was able to access satellite services. And if you had an iPhone 16, you were able to send text messages and iMessages over the satellite, which is really, really cool and is going to save lives. It's one of those iPhone features that you really hope you never have to use, but you're really, really glad it's there on your iPhone when you need it. And another hidden feature I want to show you on the 16 Pro is for the action button. And this isn't exclusive to the iPhone 16 Pro. This will obviously work on the normal 16 because that also has an action button, as well as the 15 Pro from last year. So inside of settings, if you scroll down, then click on action button, there is an all new option that you can choose called controls. And this was added with iOS 18. So a control is going to be anything that you have inside of Control Center, basically. So anything you have inside of here, you can now link to your action button. So if I go ahead and choose a control, let's just say I want a direct link to dark mode. Now, whenever I press this button, it is going to switch my iPhone into dark mode, and then another press and hold is going to bring it back. So any control that you want to have access to is now simply one click away with the action button on the iPhone. However, for me personally, I think I'm going to leave mine as a shortcut, which starts a voice conversation with ChatGPT, because essentially I use this as my better Siri. All I have to do is press and hold on the button, and I'm instantly talking with ChatGPT. So until Siri gets better with Apple Intelligence, which is coming out in like February or March, I'm just going to use this button to chat with ChatGPT, which is a much better voice assistant. So that is everything I wanted to cover in this video. This was, I guess, essentially hidden camera features on the iPhone 16 Pro. I didn't really mention that many other normal hidden features. But like I said, Apple focuses so much on the camera that this is essentially all we have to talk about when the new iPhone comes out. There are a few other really small things I should mention at the end. So the all new iPhone 16 Pro does get faster charging. So if you have a supported brick, you can now get wired charging up to 45 watts. However, in all the testing that I've done that I've seen online, I never really see my iPhone going past 35 watts, which is still a lot faster, but I'm just not seeing that 45 watt number. And then we also get faster MagSafe charging as well. So if you buy the all new MagSafe puck from Apple, because of course you have to buy the new puck, you are able to get 25 watt charging when using MagSafe. So I assume a lot of accessory makers are going to start supporting this faster version of MagSafe, but any existing accessories you have is still going to be the old slower 15 watts, which for me is fine. But if you want the faster charging via MagSafe, Apple does sell a new MagSafe puck, which you can use to charge your iPhone faster. So yeah, there we have it. Those are some hidden features on the iPhone 16 Pro. Another thing I want to mention, which isn't really a hidden feature, but it's just something that I feel obligated to tell you, is the iPhone 16 Pro now is bigger. So the smaller size phone went from 6.1 to 6.3 inches, and the bigger Max phone went from 6.7 to 6.9. I was already starting to think that the Max size phones were getting too big, and when I held the 16 Pro Max, I just knew it wasn't for me. So this 6.3 inch size on the base iPhone 16 Pro, in my opinion, is the absolute best size for a smartphone. So I guess that is kind of a sleeper unknown feature of this phone. If you want the most comfortable phone, but still a very big screen, I'd recommend going for the normal size 16 Pro and avoid the Max this year. And then just on a quick side note to end this video off with a laugh, just look at how the iPhone has evolved from the iPhone 4S, which came out in 2011, to the iPhone 16 Pro, which just came out a few weeks ago. It really is crazy just how much these cameras have evolved on the iPhone. But that's gonna do it. If you guys enjoyed this video, please drop a like and comment your thoughts down below. My name is Michael with IDB, and I'll see you next time.